Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. There has been yet another terror attack that has shocked the conscience of the nation. There was an army convoy that was targeted in Boota Pathri area of Baramulla. The vehicle was headed for the Nagin Post in Afrawat Range, and in an exchange of fire that ensued, there were 3 army soldiers and 2 civilian porters that lost their lives. Meanwhile, there are security forces that have been deployed, and helicopters and drones have also been utilized to track down the terrorists who were part of the attack. This attack comes just a mere 5 days after a terror attack that had taken place at a construction site in Gandarbal that claimed the lives of 6 migrant workers and 1 doctor. There were 2 days ago. Prior to that, there was a bullet-ridden body of a migrant worker that was found lying in the open in Vandana Malhora area in Shopian. Just a week before that, there was an army jawan that was abducted, tortured and then killed by terrorists in Kokarnag. These are some of the many terror incidents that have taken place in Jammu and now in Kashmir as well. To put things in perspective, up until now there were 26 armed forces personnel that have been martyred. There are 28 civilians that have lost their lives. There has been an uptick in terror attacks in the region, with multiple recent incidents taking place after the elections. There was a bus filled with pilgrims that was targeted just a few months ago in June in Reasi, and this was followed by a host of army patrol vehicles being attacked in July in Kathua, in Doda and in Kupwara. Let's start our conversation. It is a difficult conversation to be had. Joining me on the telecast right now is Major General Dhruv Katoch. General Katoch, this comes as a shock because there was reassurance that had been provided by the government of India, by the armed forces, that terrorism in Kashmir has been curtailed, it has been controlled, it has been completely stopped. While there were incidents of terror that were being reported sporadically from Jammu, all was calm and peaceful in Kashmir, but no longer.
Thank you, Megha. Megha, it is a very disturbing trend. I've got absolutely no doubts about it. But if looked at objectively, I think this was to be expected, because there is a problem. When you're looking at the situation, there is a problem with respect to J&K, which Pakistan is facing. Because the more the normalcy sets into the Union territory, the bigger the bigger becomes the headache as far as Pakistan is concerned. Now, obviously, that is not an excuse, and we need to ensure that such incidents don't take place. But that is going to be a very difficult proposition. It is difficult to guard each and every civilian as far as the UT is concerned. However, for the attack taking place on the military convoy, I'm not sure if it is a convoy or if it was a single vehicle. That information is not available. But that has certainly ratcheted up the level of insecurity which understandably prevails in the Union territory. I'm quite sanguine now that the military, the security forces, especially the army, along with the civil administration and the political authority, will be looking at this very, very seriously. But I don't think there are any shortcuts. It is going to be the game plan of Pakistan, and they are going to continue doing it. It is not accidental that these people have come and suddenly started ratcheting up their attacks. They are working to a plan. Now, we need to ensure that those plans are foiled, and these incidences must come down to zero, absolutely zero, to restore the level of confidence amongst the populace. Hopefully that will be done sooner rather than later. Megha.
Right, absolutely. Let's also get in my other panelists into the conversation. Brigadier Rajan Jambal, how do you at this point of time respond to the kind of cautious remarks that are coming in from the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah, and the National Conference Chief, Farooq Abdullah, talking about at one point of time just a few months ago during the Lok Sabha election, saying that dialogue with Pakistan was necessary to find solutions to the problem, and now taking a U-turn saying that there will be no dialogue. It's only when terrorism is curtailed, is reined in by Pakistan, is when India can be ready to have any conversation. Brigadier Rajan Jambal, can you hear me? Okay, the same question to you, Lalit Ambedkar. The situation currently very tense, and particularly, you know, this about turn that has been taken by the National Conference leaders. Do you think today, when you are at the position of responsibility, where you have to hold accountability, there are statements that are more cautious, more judicious that come from the National Conference, including Omar Abdullah and Farooq Abdullah?
I don't know. It's very sad and very unfortunate that for 70 years we have been having this pan-Islamism inspired separatism in Kashmir, and 30 years ago it evolved into a militarized Kashmir Jihad. It saw the only ethnic, religious cleansing of Aborigines in independent India, that was of Kashmiri Hindus. And we are yet to understand and acknowledge what we have on hand is a full-blown pan-Islamism inspired jihad, and it's the same jihad that rises from Middle East, passes through Pakistan and Afghanistan, and Kashmir is the Himalayan end of it. And I repeat, I've said it many a times, they are not. They're looking at Kashmir because it is for them a hanging fruit. Otherwise, they are eyeing Lal Killa and it's part of the same Ghazwa-e-Hind war. 1947 did not come out of blue. Partition of India was one of the biggest achievements of that Ghazwa-e-Hind war. And Kashmir is the continuation of the Ghazwa-e-Hind war. I wish and understand we acknowledge it. Now, mainstream polity in Kashmir, they are the original Islamists of Kashmir. You know Huyat and separatists, terrorists, they identify themselves. They come forward and say, yes, we hate India, we are pro-Pakistan, we are pro-independence, we are pro-Islam, right? But these mainstream parties, they are folk-tongued. They speak one language in Kashmir, another in Jammu. They would speak differently in Ladakh and in Delhi differently. And also pre-election and post-election, their language changes. Now, what Farooq Abdullah is speaking now, before during the campaigning, it was very toxic campaigning. I hope, and I mean, our memory is so short, and we're trying to forget what happened because we try to take in the same spirit like it is in rest of India. Oh, it was an electoral election campaign, so anybody can speak anything. It was a competitive Islamism that was spewed in Kashmir during the campaign. Can you imagine Nasrullah, Hezbollah's Hassan Nasrullah, the jihadist, right? He was assassinated. And remember it, Hezbollah is pro-Pakistan, supports Kashmir Jihad, and is against India. These mainstream parties, one Mufti's PDP, they suspended their electoral campaign. It was immediately followed by National Conference. And they say, our religious sentiments are hurt. So you got to understand what is happening now. No doubt, after 5th August 2019, you have a very, very tight security grid in Kashmir. And that is why, correspondingly, the jihad has evolved into a hybrid war. Wherever they are able to breach, they are targeting you. Don't forget, killing individuals is a different thing. But ambushing, AMBUSH, when you ambush the mighty Indian army, you can realize how forthcoming they are in showing their dominance in wherever they are.
Okay.
And I think our response has to be military problem. It's a military problem, the way jihad conflicts are fought everywhere in the world. And I'll repeat one more thing. Nowhere in the world jihad conflicts have been vanquished conclusively. It's the same thing in Kashmir. If you expect 5th August 2019, which was a momentous day, you abrogated that constitutional piece of arrangement that enabled Kashmir Jihad to evolve. But it's not a solution to Kashmir Jihad. So it's a military problem. You have to learn to contain it, and also you have to do geopolitical exercise.
Okay. Okay, all right, fair enough. Amit Rana, how do we figure out a solution currently? And the shock value here is that there had been reassurances that had been given by the government of India, and we also saw this on the ground for reality that there was no act of terror taking place in Kashmir at least. And then there were these sprouting of incidents coming in from Jammu, but Kashmir was relatively calmer. What has happened in the span of just a few weeks that Kashmir is now being regularly attacked? There have been 2 such incidents, 3 of them in fact that have taken place, and that too only in Kashmir. Where are we lagging behind?
it would be incorrect to say that there were no terror attacks in Kashmir. There have been terror attacks in Kashmir in the last few years. Yes,
I'm not talking about in the last few years. I'm talking about during the Lok Sabha elections. And if you actually take a tally in the last few months, the number of attacks in Jammu have increased, while the ones in Kashmir had reduced marginally. They had become extremely rare. And suddenly there are incidents sprouting in a span of about 2 weeks. There have been 4 attacks.
Megha, the point is that the terror incidents in Kashmir had reduced drastically. That's a fact. But have we eliminated terror attacks in Kashmir? Is not a fact. There have been terror attacks. There have been targeted minority killings. There have been targeted people killings in Kashmir. And we have also seen large amount of encounters happening in South Kashmir last year. At the same time last year when we lost a colonel, a DSP and a major. So there have been terror attacks. Yes, there has been a drastic reduction in terror attacks, and also there has been a change in tactics, the way terrorists operate, the jihadis operate in Kashmir Valley. What has the two terror message? What is the message they have been trying to send you with the 2 terror attacks that have happened last few days? First attack happened at Z Mode, a high security area, a road leading to Ladakh, connecting you to the LAC. We have not seen an incident on that road for many years now. It's a highly sensitized road. You have the Amarnath Yatra happening on the same road. There's enough convoy or army convoy movement happening on that road. Second incident we have seen in Gulmarg, and I honestly don't remember an attack on Gulmarg in my memory. Again, an area which is highly army dominated, which has been relatively peaceful for many decades because of LOs, because it is close to LOC, and because of huge army presence. So there's a message being sent to the Indian army, to the Indian security forces, that we can hit you anywhere. And that's the message. Now, how can we eliminate terror in Kashmir? I don't think you can ever eliminate terror in Kashmir unless and until you solve the 2 problems. First is Pakistan, and second is the jihad. Pakistan will continue to foment trouble in Jammu and Kashmir till the deep state of Pakistan has vested interest in Jammu and Kashmir, because that is from where it derives its power to rule the Pakistan. So it is not going to be eliminated. They will find ways to keep fomenting trouble in Jammu and Kashmir. Second is tackling jihad. It is a misnomer. It is a foolish thing to believe that you can handle and tackle jihad with development. That is the unfortunate part of the whole thing. You have to tackle jihad the way jihad has to be tackled, the way it is being tackled globally. And unless and until you do not bring down the radicalization in Jammu and Kashmir, you do not send a strong message, things will continue to happen. So there has been a this is one clear thing which comes out of these attacks, that there are terrorists operating in Jammu and Kashmir. They are getting places to hide out. There's a support from certain section of society which is providing them not only accommodation, they are providing them food, they are providing them with inputs.
Yeah. And then, at one point in the combing operations that had been launched by the armed forces, they were able to take control of the overground workers. They had combing operations and were successful in eliminating these underground workers as well. And therefore, there was a sentiment that, terror attacks have reduced in Kashmir. So have we at this point of time, moved our eye away from the sensitive area, which has led to the revival of attacks that have taken place? Brigadier Rajan Jambal, let's hear it from you. Now, is there going to be another surgical strike that will have to be conducted by India to bring about a lull in the terror attacks taking place in Jammu and Kashmir?
You see, the surgical strikes are temporary solutions to a temporary issue. You just take out one, you hurt a little. This requires a little more than surgical strikes, probably a dismemberment of Pakistan by whatever means, It need not always be military means, and efforts, it appears, are going on in that stage. Now, coming to the moot issue, what we were discussing was the epicenter of terrorism. Why does it happen? Somebody was just saying it's an offshoot coming from Middle East. Now, I am very clear on this thing. The ideological center is, but the whole subcontinent is here in India, in Deoband. The financial support may be coming from anywhere, but the ideological center is right in heart of you, in Deoband, in Uttar Pradesh, in India. That they are the ones who spewed this literature. In fact, I don't know how many of you have visited, and I am right now speaking from Kashmir only. Most of the if you go to any of the religious shrines and all, you will find somebody or the other connected. I mean, if not the main Maulvi, somebody or the connected with Devband floating around there. Now this has to stop. I mean, the government has been trying for quite some decades now. The ideological, the backing or the this thing that is coming from the basis, the very basis. Now that has to be eliminated. In Deban, they can't be, propagating this kind of jihad. They can't be propagating. They are the ones who have actually created all the literature that is floating around, not only in India, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. That is the heart, because in subcontinent, they are the ones who are to be blamed. The financial backing may come from this thing. In fact, the financial backing has now reduced. Saudi Arabia has no more, which was one of the biggest financial backers at a time, has now just disowned the whole thing. So they're running short. Now ISI, through the drug trade and all, it is trying to finance terrorism in J&K. And to say that, it is not possible to actually undo the complete terrorism, this thing, that I also believe is not correct. I mean, militarily, we have finished off in Punjab, this thing in Northeast, we have this thing. In fact, we are the only country in the world who has handled such situations in a military, through military operations, and we have succeeded in that.
Unfortunately, sir, we have still not been able to figure out a solution to the Northeast insurgency that is taking place. Our borders along Myanmar at this point of time stand very, very sensitive, and they become porous. And we've had to have, measures been put in place, haphazardly. There has been a fence that has been put, but are we able to find a solution along the line of action corridor? There seems to be some sort of progress that is happening, but we have to be extremely cautious. We have to keep looking over our shoulders. So all our borders at this point of time have been compromised, and that is the truth. And how do we find a solution, General Dhruv Katoch? It seems as of the armed forces, the government of India do not have any solution to which they can reach any sort of tools to actually figure out how to end this hybrid terrorism.
Yeah, Megha, it is my belief that if we have to resolve this issue, the military obviously has to play, has to have a major role, a major component. And for that component, the basic idea is not what we do inside the union territory. Our militants may come, 50 will come, we'll kill 50, another 50 will come. That's an endless cycle. You've got to go to the head of we've got to address the head of the serpent which lies in Pindi across the border. Basically, we have to make the cost very, very heavy for Pakistan's military. Unless we do that, they will keep this nitpicking will carry on. I am not very sanguine about why we are still having a ceasefire with Pakistan when continuously the drones are coming across and terrorists are coming across from the LOC. And once the drones and terrorists are coming across, then what is the sanctity of having that peace accord, the ceasefire with them? In my view, as a start, whenever a terrorist infiltrates into any particular area, the surrounding Pakistani posts must be destroyed, eliminated completely. That leads to war, so be it. If it leads to escalation, so be it. But it will stop this nitpicking, and once we continue with this firmly and take on the response, there will be pain to us also. I'm not denying that. But we will inflict 10 times that pain to Pakistan. They will not be able to bear it, and we will get them on their knees. Okay. Unless you do something drastic, it is not going to work. I would recommend that course of action. Simultaneously, I think you see what Brigadier Jamwal has said is right. You've got to stop the preaching, which is the hate preaching, which is still going on in the schools and in the madrasas. Once that stops, along with concerted action against Pakistan, we can see a solution to the problem. Till then, we will continue doing what we are doing now. Megha.
Lalit Ambedkar, the political leadership that is being led by a national conference today, can it have practical solutions if it aligns itself with the government of India to ensure there is peace and prosperity ensured in Jammu and Kashmir? And do you also think that currently providing statehood to Jammu and Kashmir is premature?
I am sure you know what I'm going to speak about. I said at National Conference and PDP, Abdullahs and Muftis, they're the original Islamists of Kashmir. Just other day, after the polls, you know what Farooq Abdullah said? He said, इन सबका जनाजा निकलेगा किनका जिन्होंने बीजेपी का समर्थन किया तो when he means बीजेपी का समर्थन किया in fact the threat letters or acknowledgement of taking responsibility for the terror attacks, you must read the vocabulary of the terrorists, the jihadists. They use the word Sangh. They don't say the Indian army, they say Sangh army, occupational forces or Sangh. So this is a very politically and strategically picked up word which is trying to appease the left liberals in the rest of India. So when Farooq Abdullah says इनको सबका जनाजा निकला, that means they will die. आज नहीं तो कल उन सबका जनाजा निकला. So बीजेपी के समर्थक, Hindus, Hindutva and Indians or local Kashmiris or non-local, they have to die. This is same Farooq Abdullah. The same Farooq Abdullah wanted Chinese intervention in getting Article 370 back. I don't know how should we understand the Sheikh Abdullah, the father of Farooq Abdullah. He was given Sultanate, Sheikhdom by none other than Jawaharlal Nehru himself via Article 370. Same Jawaharlal Nehru, he understood the deceit and put him in jail for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years the same Sheikh Abdullah on a treason, on the charge of treason. Why are we trying to appease them? Number one, first, you can't put a ban on them. Please curtail their geopolitical space. Shrink that. Why should Jammu continue to be part of Kashmir? You have separated Ladakh. You have one half the problem geographically resolved. Jammu, make a separate state. Your another half will be resolved. Create, and I repeat, this is very necessary. India doesn't have a demographic border in Kashmir after the ethnic cleansing of Kashmiri in the Hindus 32 years ago. You have to create Panjab Kashmir Union Territory for Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir itself. And that has to be administered by Delhi. You don't have any demographic border. You have a demographic foothold in Kashmir.
Okay.
Number three, treat it as a war, conflict. You forget about state. You have to take drastic measures. Otherwise, I repeat, number one, just please 10 more seconds.
Sir, I don't have time. I have other panelists also waiting their turn. You've made your point. Quickly coming to you, Amit, another 30 seconds. A solution, do you think the National Conference winning the election has encouraged infiltrators in Pakistan to further their agenda of spreading terrorism?
Yes, we can say so because and not only the infiltrators, it has also motivated the cadre that was lying low, the terrorist cadre that was lying low. It has motivated them to come out. Yes, they see that they have a political support and they definitely have been motivated by the recent election results. Now the question is, can we trust Abdullahs to handle the situation? I don't think we can trust Abdullahs to handle the situation because they themselves are the creator of this whole problem. One must understand that Sheikh Abdullah in his book, the autobiography, Chinar, The Flames of Chinar, writes the Hindus of Kashmir as the fifth columnist and says that they are the people who are responsible for the non-creation of the Kashmir nation. So in a state where the minority, the Hindus, are seen as someone who oppose the caliphate, the creation of Islamic State, you will have to tread carefully. You will have to work on the de-radicalization. You will have to work on creating Indian pockets in Kashmir. Otherwise, we continue to bleed in Kashmir, and Pakistan will continue to inflict wounds in Kashmir because that's how it survives. That's how the deep state of Pakistan survives. So we should be ready.
Okay, all right. Quickly then, Brigadier Jambal, the solution ahead, the state government and the central government have to cooperate. But when, as has been mentioned by my previous panelists, that when there is wholehearted support by the regional parties in Jammu and Kashmir to pro-Islamist agendas and organizations, is there a consensus amongst regional parties and the central government that they have to come together and fight terrorism?
You see, I look at Jammu and Kashmir as a triangle. Jammu, Srinagar, Delhi. All the three ends of the triangle will never meet what one end of the triangle wants, the other two won't accept. So this is going to stay like that. This thing. Part of the solution, like suggested, was make Jammu separate, reduce the geopolitical space, maybe all right. End of the day, you had to take out radicalization. De-radicalization is something actually which is more talked about, and nobody has a clue how to begin. Where do you start de-radicalization? Big word, but where do you start it? I suggested you clamp down on day one people. You clamp down, you have to physically block their entry into the valley. You have to physically block, and anybody, it has to be taken right there. So the problem is that today you have got home under your control. Unfortunately, this thing cannot be controlled only by home. It's a holistic approach. The education department comes under the state. Previously we have seen, the education department itself was radicalized. The number of teachers which were dismissed by the LG administration, and the other employees and police people dismissed because they were directly in touch with anti-nationals and terrorists. Now, this kind of thing can only root once you have to clean your government first, then clean the society. It can be done only through a holistic approach.
Okay.
Every department of the government will invariably get involved in that. To that extent, the statehood, what we have talked about, has to be given, but the powers have to be limited to the extent that wherever national sovereignty slightly gets in, you see that decision, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. It should be very clear to them that it's a no-go.
I think those demarcations have already been made, with the Lieutenant Governor being given those very strong powers when it comes to home security, when it comes to the armed forces, and when it comes to postings that have to be made in several parts of Jammu and Kashmir. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.